Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ISAP after thematic track 3, SEPLS management as integrated, inclusive, and localized actions towards a nature-positive society. My name is Koji Miwa, policy researcher from IGES, and also a member of Secretariat of Satoyama Development Mechanism, or SDM. In this session, we will discuss how the Satoyama landscape approach can promote transformative actions that is integrated, inclusive, and localized actions towards a nature-positive society, inviting presenters who recently implemented Satoyama projects from different countries. First of all, we would like to welcome a prominent speaker for the opening remark. Now we'd like to invite Professor Takeuchi, the president of IGES.
Thank you very much, Coach, for your introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Kazuhiko Takeuchi. I'm a president of IGES. I have worked on the conservation and restoration of Satoyama landscapes, or SEPLS, for more than 20 years. I also played a key role in the establishment of the International Partnership for the Satoyama Initiative, or IPSI. Currently, the world faces multiple environmental challenges, perhaps most notably climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental pollution. We need to tackle these issues urgently at every scale, global, regional, and local, to achieve transformative change. Satoyama in Japanese, or socio-ecological landscapes and seascapes, SEPLS are places where people live in harmony with nature while addressing various dimensions such as equity, poverty, and deforestation, and incorporation of traditional knowledge for sustainable management practices in primary production processes such as agriculture, forestry, and fisheries. Japanese people traditionally maintained and enhanced biodiversity while benefiting from nature in various ways in a sustainable manner. Similar cases can be also observed in other parts of the world. Therefore, the SEPLS approach has a potential to promote integrated, inclusive, and localized actions towards sustainable societies. Today, there will be 4 cases from different parts of the world by the implementers of Satoyama project last year. I would like to congratulate them on the completion of their project. I'm looking forward to hearing their achievement and hope for fruitful discussion among them to provide key takeaways from the audience. With that, I conclude my opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Takeuchi, for your important words. Now we'd like to move to the setting the scene session. So first of all, what is Satoyama or SEPLS? Satoyama or Satoumi is a place where traditionally formed through the practice of sustainable agriculture, forestry, and fisheries in Japan. Thus, people are living in harmony with nature. Socio-ecological production landscapes and seascapes, or SEPLS in short, is a term produced from a scientific point of view. Interaction between people and the landscapes maintains or enhances biodiversity while providing humans with the goods and services needed for the well-being. So Satoyama Development Mechanism, SDM, is part of the Satoyama Initiative. Satoyama Initiative was a joint proposal at the CBD COP10 by the Ministry of Environment of Japan and the United Nations University Institute of the Advanced Studies. Now it's called United Nations University Institute for the Advanced Study of Sustainability. And this initiative is a global effort to realize societies in harmony with nature, based on the model of Satoyama. At the same time, International Partnership for the Satoyama Initiative, or IPSI, was established to promote the work of the initiative and knowledge sharing. At the time of the foundation, there are 51 organizations, but now there are 304 organizations from around the world. The members are including public, private, and grassroots organizations. And the secretariat is hosted by the UNU-IAS. And also, if you are interested, you are welcome to join the IPSI members. So we put in the chat that how to become a member. And Satoyama Development Mechanism, SDM, is one of the collaborative activities of the IPSI. It is a financing mechanism to facilitate the implementation of activities under IPSI. The vision is societies in harmony with nature. And this mechanism was established jointly by IGES, UNU-IAS, and MOEJ. Since 2013, we have funded 64 projects in 28 countries. So why is biodiversity so important? Biodiversity includes the diversity of species, ecosystems, and genetic diversity within species. It provides crucial supports for ecosystems and our lives in all aspects, which is also called ecosystem services. So what are the causes of biodiversity loss? There have been some drivers were identified. Indirect drivers, which is underpinned by societal values and behaviors, for example, demographic, socio-cultural, economic, technological, institutions and governance, and conflicts and epidemics. And direct drivers, for example, land and sea use change, such as degradation and aquatic destructions, and direct exploitation of organisms, climate change, pollution, and invasive alien species. Therefore, the world is calling the need of transformation, especially from the science world, academic world. And global assessment published by IPBES in 2019, about 25% of animal and plant species, or 1 million species, are threatened with extinction. And many of these will become extinct in the next few decades if appropriate action is not taken. Therefore, the efforts from across various sectors are needed. And also, Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which was adopted at COP15, it's built around the theory of change. It requires us to take urgent policy action globally, regionally, and nationally to achieve sustainable development and the conventions of visions of living in harmony with nature by 2050, which was written in their framework. At the same time, we are also seeing this term, nature positive, recently. Nature positive definition is halt and reverse nature loss by 2030 on a 2020 baseline and achieve full recovery by 2050. Therefore, we have to look at the trajectory of the nature's loss, which is now going minus, but we have to redirect the trajectory to the positive recovery positive way. And there are also 3 measurements considered, such as zero net loss of nature from 2020, and net positive improvement in nature by 2030, and full recovery of nature by 2050. So how can transformative change occur? Values. Third is foster institutional change. Fourth, improve the capacities of different actors. And last one is support integrative adaptive governance. In this ISAP, we are translating these words into a simple manner: integration, inclusion, and localization. Therefore, we like to focus on these 3 actions: integrated, inclusive, and localized actions, to promote transformative change towards nature positive society. So this is the theoretical view of this session. So working on SEPLS or Satoyama landscape approach, and we aim to see how we can address the drivers and indeed the society to nature positive. So today we like to we invite 5 presenters from around the world who recently implemented the Satoyama projects. And there are 5 projects in 2022: Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute from Ethiopia, Tsushin Organic Agriculture Foundation from Chinese Taipei, and Fundación Semillas de Vida, AC, from Mexico, and Unayan Onsen, Bangladesh. And Social Policy Ecological Research Institute, SPERI, Vietnam, which is still ongoing. So today, only 4 presenters will give their reporters the result of the project. So we like to move to their presentation now. So first one, Rashid Al-Mahmoud Titmu and Bayezid from Unayan Onsen. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. This is Bayezid from UNU-IAS, Bangladesh, and I'm also working as an assistant professor of development studies in Khulna University, Bangladesh. So basically, we are going to present on behalf of UNU-IAS, and our another member is joining, I hope. So, Kozi, should I go to the slide?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, okay. So, indigenous and ecosystem-based solution. We are going to share the story of Bangladesh, how this has been taken care of. So this is where we have conducted our study. This is called the Sundarbans, which is the largest contiguous mangrove forest in the world. So here, there are lots of indigenous people and local communities, which will be narrated in the following slides as well. The Sundarban has adopted various innovative and participatory local approaches and actions to manage the socio-ecological production. The whole Sundarban, and especially Bangladesh Sundarban, is full of biodiversity. As you can see in the slide that there is 334 species of vegetation, and it is also very much popular for the tiger, which is called Royal Bengal tiger, and other number and calculations are there. So in Bangladesh Sundarban, there are lots of traditional resource users, like 3.5 million people directly and indirectly depend on that the resources of Sundarban for their livelihoods, and different groups, as you can see in the photos as well, and in like fishermen are there, woodcutters are there, and other other groups also who are taking the resource there from the Sundarbans. What is the problem? The mangrove forests are losing their biodiversity resources due to anthropogenic pressure, including climate change and overlapping, which we call polycrisis of COVID-19, biodiversity loss, and climate change, and increased cost of living. Hence, the project aimed to identify the feasible indigenous and ecosystem-based solution in SEPL management, and will apply or applying multiple evidence-based participatory approach. And what was our methodology? The methodology, we did multiple actions like systematic consultation, so we can identify the vulnerability of that area, the regenerative capacity, and the income and standard of living, and sustainable production and consumption. It involved 30 indigenous communities. We have had consultative workshops, which were conducted for 2 cooperatives living in Sundarban. We conducted situation analysis and analyzed and causes of vulnerability and community action and their capacity. This was our study area that I showed, like it is in Sundarban in specific district, and in the sub-district and union, very specific area, which is called Koira and North Betkashi. What was that? The state of biodiversity and ecosystem, major barriers that we have visited repeatedly, and we, after consultation and everything, we have got many results. The main thing is that availability of forest in the water bodies have significantly reduced. The trees have declined. Sea level rise is evident than before, and salinity increase rate has increased. All those have huge anthropogenic pressure on biodiversity. And another constant that we have divided into indicators and sub-indicators like COVID-19, climate change issues, biodiversity loss, and cost of living, that have had a strain in the basic issues like clothing, health, spending, saving, and also unaffordability of educational expenses, and other things like change in rainfall in our climate change issues. For the biodiversity loss, you see there is a decreasing trend of trees availability, forest and vegetation, and also these all are in an endangered issues. What are the results actually? The result one, if we tell it, the strategy of mangrove restoration as a means of multiple risk reduction, because the mangrove, this see it as a buffer against tidal surges, sea level rise, and coastal erosion. Mangrove as natural carbon sequestration agent. It is an unique physiological, ecological, and adaptive characteristic. And above all, Sundarban acts as the safeguarding of community people. And for the result, approach and means they have had effective, integrated, and inclusive and localized action they have taken so far as a community-based innovation. Like they developed the culture of cultivation in each land. They have the potential of integrated farming, that they are farming crab and duck together. And you see in this slide, there are lots of issues they have taken so far. And the result that they have suggested action that they have taken, and we have also a means of verification that we did, and there is a link of sustainable development goals and also with the global biodiversity framework, which we call Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework, for the cost of living, for the climate change issues, for the biodiversity loss, as you see, what is the means of verification? You see there is a traditional knowledge that need to have a harmony of science and the localized actions. And for that, for the climate change vulnerability, as you see, that the action they had taken, they raised their houses above to the normal level to save themselves from the flooding. They have also to reduce the loss, biodiversity loss. They have taken biodiversity monitoring network among the cooperative members, and they are increasingly working together. And these all are traditional knowledge, and also they are linked between SDGs directly and indirectly to the multiple goals as well. And in the conclusion, as we talked so far, that the Sundarban in Bangladesh, it works as a natural wall against the climate change, and it protects people as a safeguard from storms, cyclones, and other natural hazards. It also protects mangrove biodiversity, that this biodiversity can enhance their ability to mitigate climate change. As we tell that the elimination of livelihood insecurity is achieved by working with targets 12, 18, and 20. And it is also indirectly following the SDGs, which also leads to achieving the targets of Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework to lead a better life. By implementing above strategies that I have shown so far in the slides earlier, as we are telling in the conclusion side, that the Sundarbans can enhance resilience to climate change, protect its biodiversity, and improve the livelihoods of communities dependent on its resource. We should secure the nature positive society. By this, let me conclude here, and thank you everyone for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Bayezid. It was a really interesting presentation, and we see how it was focused on integrated and localized and inclusive actions. Next, we'd like to move to the case from Mexico. Malin.
Thank you very much. I'm here in Mexico, and I'm the director of Fundación Semillas de Vida, which means more or less Seeds of Life. And we work with the conservation and protection of seeds in the hands of the farmers. So we are gonna present here a little bit different perspective. And here we see one of the groups which we are collaborating, and we can see this wonderful diversity of the maize. The project is called Fomenting SEPLS in Milpa, 3 Sisters through in situ landrace maize seed protection. And I will soon explain a bit what it means. Well, the context here in Mexico is that we are the center of origin, domestication, and diversification of maize with the other about 100 species, different species that you use for food. And we have this vast, it's like a living seed bank, you can say, because of this selection and saving the seeds. During the last about 10,000 years, we have now 60 land races and thousands of varieties, because almost all the communities, all the families that save their seeds, but they develop different types of, different varieties of these land races. As you can see here on the photo, it's two of these are the same land races, but they're different colors, or maybe they're a little bit variation, and you can mix between the different land races as well. Here, what I would like to call the Mexican Satoyama landscape, the Mexican CPL, is the milpa. It's I used to say in English, 3 sisters. it's the maize that is the axe of which is the backbone of the whole agriculture production. And then you have a legume like the beans here. It's the most common one, but any legume would do because it fixes the nitrogen and makes it organic fertilizer. And then you have the zucchinis with the big leaves that protects the roots of the roots of the maize and the roots of the legumes. And there you have this harmonic system that is a very harmonic system, agricultural system. And this is just like the base of the milpa system, because you can have up 60 different kinds of species. You get green leaf species, you have the chile, you have the tomatoes, and all of these are working together. Like the chile, for example, it repellents the insects. So each one has their role in the production system. And this is the base of all the food cultures here in Mexico. You have, well, the taco with the tortilla bread, sort of, with the beans, and you have a little bit of salsa sauce, and that is actually a complete meal. So we were working in 2 regions, specifically here in Jalisco, where it's like a temperate, humid, subtropical climate. As you can see on the photos above, it's a little bit more dry. And then we have, it's in the south, it's like in the center of Mexico. And then we have Guerrero, which is more in the southeast of Mexico. And we have this warm, humid climate, which is more humid, but and also like the altitude is varying, but the maize, you can sow it, as you might know, in almost all over the world, because you can sow it at the sea level up until about 3,000. I think it's 4,000 meters above sea level. So it's very adaptable. And this is also why it's so important to maintain these, diversity of the genes within the different varieties of maize, because you can't really sow, maybe a conventional hybrid in the mountains in Guerrero, because it will rotten, because it's too humid. So it's very important to have these different varieties that are developed within these communities. So, and here you have some more excellent examples of these maize. So what issues are we facing here? Well, harmonization of agriculture production, as in all over the world, the hybrid seeds that comes with agrochemicals, and the low paid for biodiverse production. So we have the harmonization of agriculture production. It means that you're using a lot of chemicals and sort of killing and controlling nature instead of having a nature-based approach. So these are and when you always think about the productivity and the productivity in monocultures at big scale. So these are the context of the issues. So the objectives of this project was to build local family and community seed funds, reevaluate and foment the constant maize seeds diversification process through the exchange of seeds, knowledge, and experience, ensure the long-term sustainability of seed reproduction, and document and spread the knowledge gathered about in situ seed conservation, because there's so much traditional knowledge about the ways of conserving the seeds. So these are a few of the examples of the seed funds and communitarian and family. We were before thinking, well, in the beginning of the project, we were starting with the communitarian seed funds, but then it happened something in Guerrero also connected to climate change, a hurricane. So the materials were destroyed that we're going to use for the communitarian seed fund there, but we could save the seeds here, as you see in the photos, in the family seed fund. So they were saved, and in Jalisco we did the communitarian seed fund. And here also we actually had 3 seed fairs where we succeeded to increase the knowledge and fomenting seed biodiversity through these exchange fairs. So it's like the heart of these fairs is the exchange with different seeds, not just the maize, of course, but all over you can see in the pictures, you have the zucchini, we have the beans, you have the chile, and we have a lot of different seeds are present. So it has a huge importance for the diversification process of the seeds. And here we have in El Limón in Jalisco, and you can see this. The difference here is that this is a very, very rural seed fair, and you can see the huge varieties of the seeds. And this is an altar that you have in the beginning of the fair. You make these rituals, and you have the altars, and we will always thank to be able to use the seeds. And here in Cuyuca de Benítez in Guerrero, which you can also see this marvelous biodiversity of the seeds with the different colors. And then also then I would like to tell you a little bit about this seed manual that we published, because this is in succeeding the fomenting of spreading traditional knowledge of seeds conservation through a seed conservation manual called, in Spanish though, but taking care of our seeds, peasant experience within conservation, defense, and protection of land-raised maize in Mexico. Here we actually succeeded to have 6 different regions. Sorry, I saw that it's one photo was missing there, but the 60 different regions in Mexico, not just Jalisco, Guerrero, but also Estado Mexico and Oaxaca and Tlaxcala. We went to these regions, we did field work, and in Oaxaca, for example, we made this participatory workshop, exchanging the knowledge that that there is in the community. And I think this is the most important part, that it's like you collect the knowledge, and then you give back the knowledge in this form, this form of a book, that this knowledge can be exchanged and articulated between the different regions. And also, I think it's very important to have this integrated aspect of it all. The seeds is in the central of this project. It's in the central of the agriculture production. But we should also have this increased knowledge through intercultural dialogue and applying a CPL, integrated perspective in biodiversity, soil, seed selection, organic inputs. And we have this, I'm saying that intercultural dialogue because it's a mix between the knowledge the peasants themselves have and the indigenous people self have about the production, about the selection process. But then you can also contribute with the academic knowledge and how to also improve the outputs, but not just concentrate on one, because as you see here on these photos, it's a very, very biodiverse landscape. And this is what we want to foment and want to support. But it's very important to do it together with the farmers themselves. So this is what I was talking about. In the 25th of October, there was a horrible hurricane in Guerrero, and there was a huge part of the harvest were destroyed. But thanks to that, we had this process of gathering seeds, so they still have seeds for the next season, so they can keep on sowing. But this season, it's a little bit more complicated. And just to finish up the presentation, and I hope we will speak a little bit more afterwards. I think it's very important that we are going to continue to spread this manual. We have 3 different fairs in different parts of Mexico where we're going to present it. 3 other regional fairs this spring, because it's before the sowing, as in a lot of parts of the world. And well, as we say that seed sown grows. So we have this generation of agrobiodiversity secured thanks to, on one hand, the seed funds, but also in the exchange of the seeds. So the new seeds can come to new places and adapt to these new conditions and keep on developing. And also, well, we have to keep on searching ways to keep up the support, because, well, we have some seeds sown, but it's just the beginning of a long process. I will thank you very much. And I will leave it by that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marlene. It was really interesting. I've never seen such colorful maize, and it was really interesting to see how your project supported the local knowledge and also the maize seeds. All right, so we'd like to move to the next presentation. Next is from Chinese Taipei, Tsushin Organic Agriculture Foundation. Alice, floor is yours.
Hey, hello everyone online. I'm Alice from Taiwan. On behalf of Cixin Organic Agriculture Foundation, I would like to share the activities and results of the STM program last year. This project is located in an Aboriginal community of Eastern Taiwan, which is Nan'an community. It is on the outskirts of the national park, surrounded by forests, rivers, and rice paddies, forming an important buffer zone on the edge of the nature reserve. Endangered endemic species of fish are distributed in rice paddies, and the Taiwanese black bear, which is also endangered, lives in the forest close to the village. In the past, the indigenous people lived in the steep, high mountains. With limited land and large family members, they developed the wisdom to live self-sufficiently in the mountains. About half century ago, due to forced settlement, the farming practices of local people shifted from diversified farming in the mountain to monoculture rice on the plain. However, the wisdom of traditional diversified farming system is still practiced by the elderly and kept in home gardens at the edge of the forest. Small-scale home gardens contain a lot of basic knowledge, including techniques for combining a wide variety of crops, adapting to the terrain and climatic conditions, growing in the appropriate place, and minimizing the use of chemicals. For example, the elders choose sloping lands to plant beans because the bean planted on the margins can help to fertilize the soil. It does not cause soil erosion and can help restore fertile soil by gathering nutrients from the forest above. The younger generation, however, the main issue is the younger generation is increasingly disconnected from conventional wisdom, making it more challenging to make this wisdom accessible to the public. This creates a risk that SEPLS will disappear. So to address this problem, this case integrated multi-stakeholders in the process and to preserving traditional Aboriginal farming wisdoms and to preserve the SEPLS here. Under the support of STM project, we planned 4 tasks. First of all, to instill traditional ecological wisdom in the young locals, we set up a learning farm in the community and created one-on-one mentorships between tribal elders and the youth. The farm is the main place where traditional farm wisdom is gathered and exchanged. The farmer demonstrate their traditional agricultural knowledge and techniques through the practical work. The youth and elders come together to the farms in various activities to share food, farming together, and work together, enabling the elders to naturally impart their agricultural knowledge while allowing the younger generation and external visitors to acknowledge and learn the traditional agricultural wisdom of the Bunun people. Last year, for more than 200 local farmers or visitors shared and learned traditional agricultural wisdom on the learning farm. And the second is to ensure that Satoyama wisdom of the Bunun people can be passed on to the next generation. The other strategy is to developing an education program combined with school curriculum. Together, the material required for developing education programs, we invited the farmers and conducted interviews and workshops with them to collect information about the seasons in which they engage in different farming activities and how they use these crops in different occasions. These materials are then connected to themes related to modern school education. We invited local teachers to combine their students to the farm. The home garden serves as our classroom and our playground, where children from local elementary schools are invited to experience the traditional wisdom. Tribal elders are invited to be speakers at these events, which significantly boost their self-confidence and sense of honor. And another task is to improve the resilience of the food system by setting up a seed bank. Due to the changes of the social structure and the introduction of commercial seeds, seed exchanging between local people has slowly declined. In this project, we created a small community seed bank to collect and exchange seeds. So far, a total of 27 kinds of beans and traditional crop seeds are collected. The seeds were not only exchanged among the tribal people, but also shared with elementary and middle schools in Eastern Taiwan and openly exchanged at the Taiwan Seed Expo. There were a total of over 60 people benefiting from the seed bank this year. And the last but not least task is to improve the biodiversity of the rice paddies by habitat improvement. In the past, rice paddy field had a very monocropping food landscape. In this project, we introduced the traditional crops and ethnic plants of the Banana community into the regions of rice paddy fields. This was a very new way to increase biodiversity and also raise farmers' attention to ecology of paddy fields in this area. During the project, we organized 4 habitat improvement activities with more than 100 people join, and inviting the elders, local schools, visitors, and ecological experts to participate with local farmers to improve the habitat. Endemic folklore plants were planted on the ridges of the rice fields to discourage farmers from using herbicides or weeding out other grasses that are important for preventing soil erosion. This increased biodiversity and connectivity in the rice fields. From this project, our main achievement is that both older and younger generations in the community have demonstrated a growing willingness and commitment to preserve the SEPLS. Young people in particular can help preserving SEPLS while sustaining their life by having the opportunity to earn money from hosting visitors. And in the future, we need to gradually support and enhance the capacity of community farmers, especially the young generation, to manage their own project and adapt to the external market. And our conclusion is that when looking for pathways to a nature-positive future, it is crucial to take local traditions and local knowledges, which is often tacit and vulnerable to modernization. That is very crucial. And the motivation of the locals to participate is a factor that cannot be ignored either. So this is my presentation, and thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Alice. It was really able to see how local communities were engaged in your project activities very proactively. We're looking forward to hearing from you more details during the panel discussion. So we'd like to move to the last presentation from the case studies. Last one is from Ethiopia. Dese, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Koji, for introducing me. I'm Dase Yadata from Ethiopia. Just I'm going to present the project we have implemented in our country. Okay, thank you so much. Just this is we are implemented the restoration and the conservation of global endangered Cordoxia in dry land of Ethiopia, Somali region. The project area is in Ethiopia, Somali region, just specifically found in Bo district, which is bordering with the Puntland state of Somalia. The SEPLS of the project site is characterized by different ecosystems. The area is dry land, arid and semi-arid climates, grassland and the shrubland, acacia comifera woodland, which is the most important and the dominated species in this SEPLS. The livelihood of local communities, more than 85% of local communities are pastoralists. Their main livelihood is livestock husbandry. No crop production at all in that area. They mainly depend on some natural resources and livestock production. Just our main focus species is Cordoxia edulis, locally known as a yeheb. This species is a small tree or shrub endemic to Ethiopia and Somalia. Just this species has the ability to adapt to drought, resilient, and the climate smart wild crop, which is grown between 400 up to 500 meters above sea level. This species is grown on red sandy soils in dry land in the multi-stemmed evergreens throughout the year in the lower moisture areas. This species has the socio-ecological importance for the local pastoralists, such as food security and economic benefits. Local communities also use as a food during uncertain time, and also they generate their income by selling the seed of this species. This species is the most expensive wild crop next to coffee in Ethiopia, which is 100 kg is about 30,000 to 40,000 Ethiopian birr, just approximately 500 to 700 $. Traditionally, local community use this seeds to treat virus chronic disease such as gastric secretion and also diabetes, improving the immunity for AIDS or HIV, and so they use for different purposes. Local community also uses this species for building materials, house fences, and their fuel wood. During the dry time, this species also help local livestock as a fodder, because at the dry time, no other species have a leaf. The only leafy species is yeheb. So this livestock is uses as main fodder. Ecological services, and so living spaces as a shelter and a shade for people, livestock, and the wildlife, birds, rodents. Especially for rodents, it is also the main food purpose. For rodents, they make a hole under this tree and they use it as a habitat or living spaces. Just also use as a food. However, despite the socio-ecological contribution of this species, but it is challenged by multiple combined threats such as overexploitation, overgrazing, prolonged drought because of the characters of the sepals, habitat loss due to lack of integrated landscapes and management systems. This species is also known in the wild, no adaptation tried in other agroecologies, so it is restricted to a narrow geographical range. It is open to access. It is open access because everybody can access this species and utilize. Lack of infrastructure like electricity, road is also the main factors that affect these SEPLS. Currently, this species also listed as endangered on the ISO red list threatened species. Our objective is to restore and conserve these endangered species and associated habitats in the dry lands. To achieve our project, we have implemented 3 activities. Research. These activities consisted of survey and make an inventory of mapping the distribution of these species. The other activity is action. What we have taken is capacity strengthening, public awareness raising, in situ establishment and conservation. The third activity is partnership. We collaborate with different stakeholders and local communities. Just the result of this project, we have conducted capacity strengthening, training, and raising public awareness. Under this activity, we implement a workshop. Other activity also, at least 1,000 people attended workshop capacity building, raising public awareness. So more than 2,000 households were benefited from this project. From this activity, we produced a workshop proceeding and submitted to the IPSI. The second result is mapping of this corridor schedules. Under this activity, we implemented research, and also we created GIS maps for the designated established area for the in situ site, the field bank and the nursery site for seedling growing. The third and the last activity we implemented is established 500 hectares of potential OECM was established and they used as legally protected to which is support as a policy and the uptake. To confirm this establishment, we made an agreement and signed a memorandum of understanding with the local communities. So nursery site also established and the seedling also raised for the next the plantation. For this project, we also created a project website. This is the memorandum of understanding we have signed between our institute, the board district, and the Gambale village administration. Is a specific area where we implemented our project. Just this document also submitted to the IPSI. Just by implementing this project, what we have learned from this project was lack of species action plans, research, public awareness, landscape approaches also affected these SEPLS. Integrating the research, action, partnership is very important for biodiversity conservation goals. Financial support, just like what we have get from the Satoyama Development Mechanism Fund, is a very crucial, and strength capacity. Raising the public awareness is also another important for halting and reversing the biodiversity loss. Diversifying livelihood is also another important methods to improve biodiversity and climate change adaptation. The other is designing a nature-based solution. Just conserving, management, and planting is another activity that is very important for biodiversity conservation intervention. The other is how we can sustain this project. We will continue our work to the area because our institute has a mandate to do these activities. Also, we will apply reassessment through field surveys and inventories because to evaluate the post-project conservation status. So participatory monitoring programs, frequent communication with local communities, strengthening institutional capacity in the local communities, and also we have updates information obtained from the post-project conservation status. From that result, we will document lesson learned, share, and disseminate the issues. So how we can reach this activity? We can reach through the IPSI website, also the project website we have created. The project output also lesson learned will be disseminated. Lastly, my final message is despite we are living in geographical region, different geographical region, biodiversity is our shared resource that everyone has a responsibility to protect and live in harmony with nature. And the nature doesn't have an own prosecutor, so we should act as it is prosecutor. Just this is the last my slide. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dese. It was really interesting how you focus on this specific plant species, which is very important for this landscape. And then you establish the OECM. OECM is other effective area-based conservation, which is very important for achieving Kumi-Montreal biodiversity target.
Okay, thank you. We did this project because of a Satoyama Development Mechanism Fund. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Desi. So now we'd like to move to the panel discussion for the remaining of the session. So everyone, can you open your camera? So all the speakers for today, we're going to discuss together now. So we like to look at these three questions. And if there's any questions from the audience, we try to take up some questions if time allows. So if anyone has a question for us or any specific speakers, please put your questions in the Q&A. The first one is how useful was SEPLS approach to promote integrated, inclusive, and localized actions? Second one, what were the major barriers or constraints to achieve the project goal, and what will be the important factors to overcome them? And last question is what would be the ideal involvement of the business sector for the SEPLS conservation restoration? Since there are many audiences from the business sector today, so I think they might be interested how they can contribute. So, Alice and Desi, you open your camera. All right, so first question. Oh, sorry. How useful was the SEPLS approach to promote integrated, inclusive, and localized actions? So integration, maximizing synergies, and minimizing trade-offs across climate, biodiversity, and circular economy. And inclusion is empowering all actors, including those marginalized or disadvantaged. And the third one is localization, like tailoring solutions to relevant context can foster ownership and support for the sustainability agenda. Well, all of your project was focusing on your landscape or Satoyama. So I think you are localizing, but how this SEPLS or Satoyama approach was useful or effective to conduct your project? Does anyone want to start? Otherwise, I would. Okay, Malin, please.
I can start. Yeah, I think it's very important perspective, very important to have this systematic view on agriculture and the landscape of agriculture, because one of the main problems is the fragmentation. So I think that we who are working with the seeds, it's also like one of the best tools in a way to empower the actors and make this perspective more inclusive, because the whole dominant agroalimentary system, what's it doing is actually excluding these peasant and indigenous communities by the privatization of seeds, by the application of agrochemicals and all this destructive agriculture. So I think that the SEPLS and this this perspective that you have this more holistic and more systematic, and that we really need to see the socio-ecological consequences and the socio-ecological context. It's very helpful with all these different, you can see it, it's amazing how all these different projects really have some essence in common. And I think what that was why it's so useful, this CPLs, because it's what we can make and come together in a way and compare and see, okay, in this context we can apply it in this way, but all of these have this, the integration, inclusion and localization together. So I think it's very, very important to include it in all different types of projects and also public policies.
Thank you, Malin. So you can say, compared to other kinds of projects, this Satoyama or SEPLS approach was easier to involve different kind of people, stakeholders.
Yes, I think it's like the essence, one of the essences of this success to really succeed with the CPLS and this inclusion perspective, that you are including different kinds of population. And I think when you look at the seeds in the Mexican context, but also in the world's context, we actually have the indigenous people to thank for the development for thousands of years. And then we have, like, the last 40, 50, 60 years, we have started to exclude them from the historical importance that they have had and still has in the development of biodiversity in seeds, and that's why diversity of food. And so I think this is like this, actually going back to the nature-based agricultural production, that when really needs this holistic and systematic approach, I think.
Thank you, Ali. Okay, so next, Alice.
Okay. Addition to Malin's point, I want to point out that through the SEPLS method, through the SEPLS approach, especially the landscape approach, we can quickly grasp the distribution and characteristics of the local landscape. In Nan'an, through this method, we can see the home gardens are located at the intersection, at the edge of the primitive ecosystems, which are like forests, streams, and between the man-made ecosystems, like rice paddies. So the home gardens along the foothill form animal passages for this place. And this method help us to quickly realize the importance of the home garden in the eco-connectivity function. And then we can form our action plans to address this importance and to think about how to preserve it, and then integrate it different stakeholders, and we can understand, like, for the paddy rice, the main manager is the males in the communities, and the main manager for home gardens are females, and when we need to mobilize them, maybe for males and for females, the strategies are different, and this needs many detail and deep observations, and I think the SEPLS approach helps us a lot. Yeah, that's my point.
Thank you very much, Alice. So I could see how inclusive your project could be. And in Taiwan, Satoyama is getting more spreading, like many people know about the term Satoyama.
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. All right, Tito Mill, you are muted. Can you unmute? Yes.
I think the unique characteristics that SEPLS bring into than any other conservation process is that recognizing the interrelationship between human being and nature, because it's about production, it's about well-being of nature and human being. And in terms of integration, what we have seen, particularly in case of the whole world, that we are witnessing biodiversity loss, climate change is advancing at a more, and we are witnessing like cyclone, storm surges, as in our case, as well as in the case of Mexico and other places. And then also the impact of the livelihood crisis. So these polycrises can be addressed through SEPLS approach. That's number one. Secondly, we could allow every section of the society, particularly those who are marginalized and disadvantaged because of the policy regimes itself. So we have seen how the indigenous, in our case, Munda community, and local community, in our case, Koira community, has come together and created a kind of an example, and which can be advanced in Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, as well as contribute to the SDG processes. And since it is a local initiative by the local people, for the local people, so it has more sustainability element in it. So these three really contributes to the transformative changes by moving from the current loss of biodiversity, the adverse impact of the climate change, as well as the livelihood crisis. So these could create an example, particularly when we are updating the NBSAP. As you know, that most of the countries in the world are doing that. So this could contribute to that process and shape the policy landscape. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Titumir. So local initiative, capacity development are very important factors to mobilize people towards transformative change or nature positive society. So I have a question to Dese. How you try to involve the local communities, or do they have any traditional knowledge about the YEHAB? And was it any relationship with them to implement projects?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I have no different ideas from the other panelists, but maybe the word SEPLS is new to any other, or not only for local communities, and also for other stakeholders. This word is also new, but the most important approach is the landscape management system. So this management system, land management system, or SEPLS, is very important for integration, inclusion, and the localizing. For example, in terms of integration, this SEPLS brings different sectors or cross-sectoral policies for land management, for landscape or ecological management. It brings different scenarios or sectors to contribute their efforts to sustain this landscape. So in that way, SEPLS is very crucial for our planet and for human being. For inclusion, this SEPLS is also inclusion different actors, traditional or local leaders, local communities, indigenous peoples, and also different sectors can include together to sustain for the long-term sustainability of this landscape. Localizing at local, people also can benefit from this approach by maximizing their production and productivity. So generally, this SEPLS is very important for basic framework for balancing competing demands and integrating policies for multiple landscape uses within a given landscape or SEPLS. Thank you.
Thank you, Dese, for sharing your insights. It was really interesting to hear how SEPL's approach was effective in different parts of the world. And so now we want to move to the next question. So what were the major barriers or constraints to achieve your project goal? And what would be the important factors to overcome them? So what was the most challenging parts? What barriers did you face? Can you share your experiences and how did you solve those issues? What was the key factors? Okay, thank you, Malin.
Thank you. Well, in our case, the one that also that you mentioned one of the barriers here was the hurricane that was in Guerrero in end of October, and the situation where people lost their houses and also the harvests that was supposed to also contribute to the project. But I think here it's very important to see how we could go back to, because all the families they have really, well, during generations they have saved the seeds, and now we could reorganize the seed banks into family seed banks, but also contribute to the material to be able to, because there's some traditional ways of, not traditional, but new ways of saving the seeds includes chemicals. So here we could at least like eliminate the chemicals and have these ways of saving the seeds that they were not going to be hurt by by insects through excluding oxygen and stuff like that. So it was we had to be flexible in this way, but I think that in general we didn't have so much obstacles, local obstacles. I think it's also because all of our actions, they are sort of fomenting processes that were suggested by the communities themselves. We are working together with two organizations, local-based organizations, that have a lot of experience of working in these areas. So also their knowledge, their pre-knowledge, and like our collaboration of developing the project helps to also like overcome the barriers and the obstacles before the implementation of the project.
Thank you very much, Malin. Climate change is one of the direct drivers of the biodiversity loss. So now we may have more extreme weather. So the seed bank can also play important role as a Satoyama approach. And then also it's important to have a good network to use the local knowledge holders as a key actors to conserve or restore the areas in the long term. Great. Okay, next, Titumir, can you share your ideas?
Yes, I will just echo what Marin has said. But what we are witnessing is more frequency of hurricanes and storm surges. Because as you know, Sundarbans is a marine coastal ecosystem. So it's located at the Bay of Bengal. And given its geophysical structure, which is like a funnel, So if there is a cyclone, it hurts people and their livestock hugely, having a devastating impact. So first there was COVID, and then because of the climate change, the frequency of cyclonic and hurricane events are increasing, and as you have noticed that it has had a devastating impact on the lives and livelihoods of the local and indigenous communities who are living in and around Sundarbans. So that's number one. Second, then, as we are a food import dependent country, and because of the supply disruptions and rise in prices, so the cost of everything has gone up. So there is a livelihood insecurity. How people are dealing with it, as we have mentioned in our presentation, that we have helped develop these cooperatives. And these cooperatives are gaining strength because every month there is a meeting and they plan and then they decide about their action points. So what they have come up with, given their limited resources, they have come up with indigenous solutions. As you also might know that Bangladesh has a high population density. So they have limited availability of land. So what they have done, they have come up with a multiple system in terms of having fish in the pond, then and something which is saline, but they can grow those trees and they can have the fruits. So community-based ag, so they have come up with aqua silvioculture, and they have also gone for crab culture and others by involving sharing their traditional practices as opposed to any kind of commercial culture. So they are trying. And then we have also, because they are organized in cooperatives, they have also been, and we help them connecting with the local social safety net programs. But having said that, they are living a life with serious adverse livelihood insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Titumir. Okay, so next, Alice, please.
Okay. The main barrier is that to get different stakeholders to work together involves a lot of communication and discussion. It is very costly for us, and to be honest, it is a big burden for project managers. And it is really difficult to really overcome it, but it's worth the investment of time and effort. When we invest time in communication, it really helps each other, help the team, and help us and the farmers to get more mutual understanding and more effective communications. And the second barrier or constraints is that it is not easy for farmers to get together because they are very busy to deal with their daily lives. So we need to be very careful about how often can we mobilize the farmers and avoid forcibly mobilizing them and demotivating them to participate in the activities. And to address this, I think the way to somehow overcome them is to create some occasions or opportunities to boost the self-esteem and confidence of the farmers. like inviting the elders or the younger generations to become the lecturers for the tribal children, or as interpreters for the guided tours. These activities will give them a sense of honor in their lives and make them feel that their traditional habits, their daily lives are highly valued and respected, which in turn will make them more willing to join and to preserve and promote this wisdom with us together. This is our experience.
Thank you, Alice. Hearing Tito Meru and Alice's opinions, I can see how important it is to provide a sense of honor to the local communities for the implementation. So, Dese, would you like to give some comment?
Okay, thank you. I have some comments about this barrier. One challenge we had is lack of infrastructure, like a road. There is no road in the project area. It is not good for traveling. It takes also a long time. From our destination, it is about 1,400 kilometers away to travel to the area. The area is so difficult as road access because no asphalt in the area. And then the other challenges we had is project area is characterized by drought areas, no much rainfall. It takes only short rainfall. Local community has a problem on that area, but local communities adapt to that area and by harvesting the rainfall by creating a pond. So the other challenge is lack of alternative livelihoods. Local communities depend only on livestock production because of they are pastoralists. So and also they depend some on natural resources. This also another challenges we had in the project or SEPLS. So how we can what would be important for factors just by improving these barriers, improving like livelihood, lack of improving the lack of infrastructure like electricity. There is no electricity in the area, so to the future, what we recommend is improving livelihood of local communities by supporting like solar radiation, because of the area is receive high temperature. They can get easily the electricity. So in this way they can reduce the pressure on natural resources, especially for our focus is species. So by another is by implementing or improving their capacity, how they cope with these different challenges to the area, and they reduce their pressure on natural resources. So also we recommend the local governments and the national governments to improve their local communities' livelihoods. Integrating the landscape in this also another important for this to reducing these challenges, and also other taking other assessment in that area, and so identifying additional challenges in the area by conducting research or survey is another important for overcoming these scenarios in that area. This is my short answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dese. So time is limited. So we'd like to move on to the final question. And then to do the time limit, I hope you can make a short or concise answers. Okay, Titumir, please.
Okay, thank you. As we have identified 3 insecurities, in terms of livelihood insecurity, business can play a major role. Say, for example, our communities are honey collectors, crab collectors. So they require a kind of a processing of honey so that it remains a natural product. So if there are investment in terms of agro processing like honey processing and crab processing, that would be helpful. in terms of adaptation to the climate change, because there is a requirement of fair sourcing. So since they are doing this scrap collection and it has a global market, so the business can play an active role in terms of having say crab processing or shrimp processing. And the third one, which is they are doing in terms of traditional knowledge-based biodiversity restoration. And there are many places they have done this OECM. So business can partner with them in terms of having this OECM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Titumil. And does anyone have a short answers for this, the role of business sector?
Okay, thank you. Okay, just to reply a short answer on regarding this, creating a market based mechanisms and the value chain is very important, and also connecting the different business sectors together is one other very important. But in our case, just first we have to increase production. If you have enough production, we can create a market based mechanisms in the value chain together with a business sector. In that way, we can make a relationship with a business sector. However, other business sector can invest that area by implementing different projects. Yes, then after increasing the production, we can make or create market-based mechanisms in the value chain scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Desi. So it is really important to collaborate with the business sector for the SEPLS conservation restoration and identify what kind of products they can contribute to, like a honey, which has a potential. So thank you very much, everyone. And sorry for the audience we couldn't have much time for this question. So now we like to welcome last part of the session. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Suzuki Wataru, Director of Biodiversity Strategy Office, Ministry of Environment.
Thank you very much, Koji-san, for your kind introduction. On behalf of Ministry of the Environment of Japan, I'd like to make a brief closing remarks. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to IGES President Professor Takeuchi and all the distinguished speakers and panelists for sharing concrete cases, challenges, and opportunities, as well as for your lively discussion. I also like to express my sincere gratitude to the all participants who joined the SDM event during your busy time of the day. By learning from the very informative presentations, I have reaffirmed my brief that such on-the-ground activities based on the concept of the Satoyama Initiative contribute for conservation and sustainable use of natural resources, and their significant contributions toward achieving the 2030 mission, which is to halt and reverse biodiversity loss to put nature on the path to recovery. And the realization of the 2050 vision, living in harmony with nature under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, or GBF. Although the SDM is a small-scale funding mechanism, I realized such funding can fill gaps to produce successful cases and experiences and lessons learned to be accumulated and shared. And I would like to appreciate the strong efforts made by the SDM team at the IGS, who has been managing the program. More than a year has already passed since the historic agreement of the GBF in 2022. We need to accelerate our efforts within the limited time remaining to meet the 2030 mission and targets. To continue and expand such efforts, I would like to invite everyone to join the force. The International Partnership for the Satoyama Initiative, or IPSI, is a platform to facilitate collaboration and information sharing among members to realize sustainable future. I hope that more and more organizations will be interested in the partnership. IPSI is open to all the relevant organizations and strongly encourage those who haven't had a chance to join the network. Please feel free to reach out to the IPSI Secretariat, which is hosted by UNU-IAS. In addition, the Ministry of the Environment of Japan has been supporting the COMDEX project for the implementation of the Satoyama Initiative at community level, other than IPSI and SDM. We will continue our efforts to support the implementation of the Kunmin-Montreal GBF through supporting the Satoyama Initiative. Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Wataru-san, for the insightful words. We really appreciate it. So with this, we'd like to close today's session. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Bye.